Boom. Tales of Macaque podcast. Here I am, sitting in Taiwan. I have been here for 3 weeks. Feeling good. Haven't been updating much. I wish I was better at social media. I wish I was better at putting out this podcast. But here we are. 3 weeks in Taipei. I'm already working. I am looking for an apartment. I'm currently staying at an awesome Airbnb. My buddy Andrew Tingley. He has a fuck ton of records. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but right now I'm listening to it's a Beatles reggae cover album. A bunch of guys in Jamaica over the years covered some Beatles albums. I am having a good time. I got a job. I'm working 4 hours a day. They call it teaching English, but it's babysitting. I'm babysitting children 4 hours a day. It's really easy. It's really nice. It's fun. I don't know if I'm improving their lives at all, but I'm speaking English at them, which I guess maybe one day will pay off. It's hard to tell, but it pays well. Soon I'll be able to have an apartment. Soon I'll be able to pay off some debts in America. Soon I'll be able to train some jiu-jitsu. So far in Taiwan, I have been spreading some leg love, as I call it. Been leg locking some guys who don't know about leg locks. Nice fair battle. I've been drinking a fuck ton of tea since I got here. Right now I'm drinking some GABA Oolong, courtesy of my friend Dan Smith over at Mountain Grass Hut. Thank you, Dan, for giving me this tea. It is fucking great. We have a good podcast today. Today on the podcast, my guest is the legendary Andrew Ramm. Andrew Ramm is a 10-planet black belt. He has an MMA record that I don't know about. He has some impressive victories. Andrew Ramm's an incredible guy. He rubs a lot of people the wrong way because he's very intense. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to in this podcast. We don't talk much about his 10th planet days. And that's what a lot of people listening, they kind of know about that. They've seen him around the gym. I wanted to know what he was doing before that. It turns out he's in the military. He spent time in Nepal. And that was fucking fascinating to me. So I feel like we only scratched the surface in this podcast, but that's the way it has to be. Me, being an introverted guy, I can only do about 45 minutes of interview before I check out. And Andrew Ramm, he sucks the energy out of me. Hanging out with him, he's such a black hole of knowledge. Yeah, that's not what I mean. An inferno of knowledge. He's an intense guy. He drops knowledge, he shits knowledge, he diaries it straight into my mouth, and it's exhausting. So when I hang out with Andrew, I love it. I always feel like I'm upgrading. If anybody has a chance to train with him, you know what I mean. Anybody who trains with him immediately improves, but he's a little hard to be around. I think you guys will really enjoy this podcast. Andrew Ramm is now out of 10th Planet Las Vegas, where he was teaching. He's on the road. Right now he's in Hawaii. He's on the shamanic path. If that's something that interests you, contact him. Andrew Ramm, 2 M's. On Instagram, his name is Andrew_the_Ram. Andrew the Ram. If you guys want to support this podcast, I'd really appreciate it. You can support it while supporting yourself. Buy yourself some tea. madmonktea.com. Use offer code Marshall, save 15%. Some of that money goes to me. Don't know what tea to get? I recommend the Pear Mountain Oolong. It's organic, it's clean, it's crisp, it's refreshing. It's fucking great. It'll hydrate you while feeling good. It's healthy as fuck. madmonktea.com. Use offer code Marshall. If you want to send me money directly, patreon.com. Marshall Stamper. That's my name. If you do that, you can send me $1, and that will get me 6 dumplings. That is almost half of a meal. I would appreciate it a lot. Without further ado, let's get into the podcast. We start out with some didgeridoo playing, and then at the end of the podcast, we'll do more didgeridoo playing. So here we have Andrew Ramm. Show Da uguero shu. Kiang sho mao shu. Andrew Ramm shoes. Andrew Ramm, what the fuck, man?
What the fuck, what?
Excuse me, sir. What the fuck? I like these bowls, man. They're fucking beautiful.
I think they come from Nepal.
How long have you been playing these bowls, man?
Well, I first saw them when I went to Nepal in 2008.
2008, you went to Nepal?
Yes.
And what is it now? 2018?
Yeah, it's
motherfucking 2018? Look at you. Do you think you survived this long? Did you, Andrew Ramm?
I'm constantly confused.
How old are you in 2008?
23 and 24.
23 and 24. And you just went to Nepal. So you're out of the Marines, I'm guessing.
Yes.
At 22?
I went into the Marines at 21.
Oh, shit.
And then I signed up for what I wanted to do was I wanted to work on helicopters so I could get out and go back to ski resorts in like mountain towns and work on the skiing helicopters because I didn't really see myself being talented enough at snowboarding to get paid or like sponsored to be jump out of helicopters. So at the time
you were like you were a snowboarder, like you wanted to be?
I liked it, like I went to a ski resort when I was 18 and I was a dishwasher and then...
Which ski resort?
Big Mountain in Whitefish, Montana.
In Montana?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm from Bremerton, Washington. So like when I was a little kid, my mom would take us skiing. And then after my little brother was born, there was like too many kids. And so we kind of like stopped going up to the ski resort.
Is that too many kids?
Yeah, we had 5. And,
is there skiing in Nepal?
Well, you mean, are there yeah.
Is it like
because there's mountains and snow, but see, if you put skis on, you can go skiing.
Okay. It's a common thing?
No, because it's all like inaccessible. So you have to if you get to the snow, you have to take a plane ride and a long walk. And I'm sure people have done like all kinds of descents, on their skis, but that I don't know about in conjunction with like mountaineering. There's
no Nepalese snowboarding videos.
I don't know.
As the expert in this field, Andrew Ramm.
Well, I quit being an expert in it because what happened? Yeah, because what happened is I joined the Marine Corps to work on helicopters and then go back to the hill. Oh, and then they didn't.
That's a long-term plan.
They didn't allow me to work on helicopters. Oh. So what I did is they signed me up for an open aviation maintenance contract, which had 3 overreaching job categories, which is like support equipment, airframes, and power plants. And what I wanted was power plants on helicopters, and I got support equipment. I wanted to go to Japan or California for my duty stations. They sent me to North Carolina. I was getting like I wasn't there doing like what I wanted to do. Yeah. And like after I got back from like right before I went to Iraq in 2007, like I had done some Marine Corps martial arts grappling, and like I tapped everybody with the straight arm bar that I learned in the class. And like all the high school wrestlers and stuff that were there too, and I tapped everybody with it. And I was like, and I asked like the guys, I was like, can you show me like more moves? Like you only showed us a straight arm bar. There's like a bunch of shit, like right? I think, and I didn't really know. And so I was like going around my work center when I got to North Carolina, and I was kind of like talking shit. Like I was saying, I don't necessarily think I can beat you, but I don't think that you can. I don't think you can beat me either.
That's very polite of you,
right? Like I don't think I could necessarily tap you, but like you can't tap me either. You can't get me to tap.
Had you wrestled or anything before?
I got really drunk a lot when I was a teenager.
Really?
Yeah, and we would get like just stupid drunk and listen to punk rock and just be weird.
Yeah.
And like
start running in circles, and all of a sudden you're fighting.
And like wrestling and like doing dirty like fish hooks and eye gouges because we didn't know anything else. And
Which I still do.
Yeah, I'm actually well versed in it.
Yeah?
So, yeah, because I got bit a bunch of times. So it's like I know how it feels, and I know what it does to like the rage inside of me.
Yeah.
And so if you bite me and I'm armbarring you, I'm probably going to do something terrible.
Probably gonna snap that arm.
And a few more things.
Are you a fan of rape choking people when rolling?
No.
Really?
No.
I find it very effective.
Well, like I mean, there's a bunch of like really effective techniques, right? Like there's so many effective techniques out there that you have to start to choose.
Yeah, it's an infinite amount.
Yeah, and there's plenty of like, there's always like at least like 3 options when you're in a situation to rape choke somebody. So I'm always just going to choose the other 2. It's the same thing with the fucking oil check. I can actually keep, for the most part, as a specific technique at least. Sometimes there's an accident, but you can touch somebody's butt crack. But like for the most part, I can keep my fingers out of somebody's butt. Like that's not the game I want to play right now. Keep your fingers out of my butt.
But one day maybe you will want to, and you'll be very effective at it. I guarantee.
Yeah, so
no one in the world would stand a chance.
I really like doing a style of jiu-jitsu that feels polite.
See, I think there's a misconception about you. I think people think
I'm very rude. Well, there's a difference.
Trying to inflict pain.
It's like because people can't tell like the level of pain that I could actually inflict on you.
Right.
And I'm trying to be nice to you, but still do the thing, and I still have to like control myself in this space and not get hurt, and so that means I should just win more, for the most part, or lose like really a lot. Either way, you can go 2 directions. It's just stay. If you can tap all the time, or you can just win all the time. Which one? Like which one sounds more fun? I don't know. You should probably be able to do both.
How long has this been like your choices? Because I don't feel like I have these options right now.
What?
I don't think I can just choose to beat everybody at this moment. But in a couple years, a couple more drills, lift some more weights maybe. It's possible.
Yeah.
Because you weren't always like this. At the Marine Corps, you weren't like, I'll just tap everybody. You didn't have that superpower.
Well, I would just try really hard.
Yeah. So I just mean, at what point did this come to you? This ability to just tap everybody? Because I've seen it, man. Like, I'm not a.
Well, like it was that. I mean, I was doing it in that Marine Corps martial arts circle. Like, even though we were all untrained, I tapped everybody. And then I was just like, when I'm in my first school, we would line up, and I was just at the wrong end of the line. I was like, this is weird. I feel like I should be on the other end of the line.
A rank line, you mean?
Like, what am I doing back here? Well, like, I have this like thing about being in like masculine environments, like the Marine Corps, or like like a house full of brothers and a dominant dad.
Is that the house you grew up in?
Yeah, it's just I got 3 brothers and a dad,
yeah,
and like neighbors like, and all the kids around me. Like, I'm big compared to the average population, but
yeah, you're a tall man.
But in my neighborhood, I'm actually short. So like I don't feel like a big guy. Like I always just got tossed around my whole life, and people could just come in and like pull me off the couch and just like mess me up.
Are you the youngest brother?
I'm 4th out of 5.
Yeah.
And like my next door neighbor was like 6 months older than me, and he's 6'4". Won well over 200 pounds. So like growing up, I would always lose if we ever got in an altercation. He could just be rude to me whenever he wanted, and it's like, so I developed like this complex about like I want to be able to self-regulate. And where we mess up in life a lot is just like where we lose the ability to self-regulate and keep ourselves just feeling good. And it's like, so many people just kind of like consistently just disrespected me. It wasn't like overly traumatic or anything. It was just a slow, systematic disrespect where I just started feeling worthless, and like I couldn't self-regulate, and I wasn't good at anything. And so like when I found jiu-jitsu, like it gave me the ability to self-regulate. And it's just like, so I've been saying like the people that are like the best at jiu-jitsu eventually become the best at just staying themselves. Right? And so you can stay yourself within the spaces of combat space. So if you put yourself into a cage how well can you stay yourself? So every time I go onto the mat, I try to challenge myself just to stay the way that I actually like to feel and not get spiked up, when somebody else elevates, right?
Yeah, the Zen term for this is it's a koan. You would answer the koan by rolling like you. It's bring me a immovable tree in a violent storm. Yeah, that's the image you're providing.
And it's like, we vibrate our voices out, right? Yeah. And our ears are perceiving vibrations. Like, so there's like a wave of sound that's like palpable. You can feel the bass, right? And there's that vibration that the bowl makes, and you can feel it when you put your hand really close to it. And then, depending on how sensitive you are, you can feel it from multiple feet away.
You can see it dance on my recorder.
So you're creating a vibration with your movements, right? As you're gyrating your bones around, you're vibrating, and people can't really tell. They can't perceive what intensity they're vibrating at. Does that make sense? Like, they can't perceive that. They're like kind of like rigid, and they're kind of get tunnel vision. So like, people think that I'm like kind of like being rude. I'm actually trying to be like as nice as possible. A lot of times while still doing the thing. You know what I mean? I still got to do the thing. We still got to play the game.
Yeah, you still have to be you.
And like, I still got to like find my technique, do the technique and practice my stuff, because that's like the way, right? Is to, roll and to, interact and go for submission, right? Because otherwise we lose the structure and like the consistency of jiu-jitsu if we don't actually go for submissions. Yeah, and we just start like rolling around like, drunk pandas. Maybe stoned pandas, I don't know.
Kyung Shou Mao.
Like drunken men, and because
I rolled like this for a long time, man. I've tried really hard not to.
Effective martial arts, we've seen the de-evolution of them into no-touch knockouts and all this silly stuff, and it's a de-evolution of a very effective martial arts that have killed a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people have died using those martial arts, and it's just like but they've devolved into what we see today, and these tricksters. So we need to.
I've never met any of these tricksters, though, man. Do you know these tricksters? Well, you just hear about them. Because obviously they exist somewhere. Well, but I've never seen them.
They're just kind of like the weird guy in the bar, or like wherever you go. You know what I mean? Like,
you meet these guys
I run it. Well, you run.
I met them at Sharky's.
You run into kung fu guys at the store. Yeah. Like they see your martial arts shirt and they're like into kung fu, and I'm like, oh.
They approach you.
Yeah, sometimes. Like, I wear jiu-jitsu t-shirts everywhere. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you're a martial artist.
Oh, you trust in jiu-jitsu?
I like kung fu a lot. I've been,
But don't you think we do kung fu too? No, the same shit.
You can't tell. Well,
the same thing at its core. Like, what's the difference between kung fu and jiu-jitsu? Because in my mind, it's the exact same shit. Just you do Andrew Ramm kung fu. You do Da Ugwe kung fu. Yeah. And Da Ugwe Roshu. Same.
Yeah, no. So it is, but at the same time, what differentiates like the martial styles is like how you train for the environment that you train.
Right.
And
it's dojo specific.
What you expect to happen in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll go train, and you'll train your like that. What you expect to happen will start to manifest, and will actually happen. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to be really careful, teaching people stuff.
Did you enter jiu-jitsu with a lot of expectations?
I don't know.
Were you one of these like, I'm gonna get my fucking black belt, show everybody, like out the gate? I know white belts who do this.
Well, so back to my story. Like, I was going around telling people, I can't tap. I might not be able to tap you, but you can't tap me. And I never really trained jiu-jitsu. I just done that once. It was like a 2-week long class after my military school. And mostly make you do push-ups and kick pads, and with a little bit of grappling in there.
Cool.
And so like hokey pokey, but it's again like the de-evolution of effective martial arts.
Yeah.
And the telephone game as you pass it on to people that don't really understand what's going on. And so I ran into my friend Rich, who's actually teaching at Las Vegas right now, and at my work center in North Carolina, and he's like, oh yeah, you think so? He's like, roll my friend here. And so I had grappled a couple people. I got my head, one of the sergeants like crushed my head, like rubbed my head really hard in the concrete, and it didn't tap. And
fighting on concrete?
Yeah, like with a scarfold, like a scarfold headlock. I just ground my head trying to tap into the pavement. I was just like, fuck you, not tapping. And he didn't tap me. I was right up until I rolled with my other friend, Michael McDonald, who doesn't train anymore. I don't think he got his black belt. But he Americana'd the fuck out of me. And like, I didn't know what it was really.
Yeah.
And it hurt my shoulder for like 6 weeks. But like, I was like, I can't fucking have this. Like, I hated the idea of secret techniques.
Yeah.
I hated the idea of like other kind of like dominant people in a dominator like organization like the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is an organization of like dominance.
Yeah.
You know, and they're gonna go dominate shit. And it's like, I don't necessarily like that attitude, and it's like a perpetuating attitude all over our whole sport and dominate. You know, like.
I've never been a fan either, man.
Like, I like protect, care, love, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this for 80 years.
Dominate the competition.
Everyone I know who dominates has like fucked up knees, fucked up neck.
Yeah, and it's like, me too. You know, because I get the way that I get, you know, and you know, I gotta win all the time, and now my neck hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I tapped a white belt.
But like, I'm gonna, you know, still probably. You're gonna choke you with my hurt neck. I'm fucking whatever.
Hey man, you gotta be careful with that microphone. The cord is brushing up against it.
I see.
Yeah, cheap microphone. It was $14. So what the fuck were you doing in Nepal, man? What was it?
Back to my story. So I get to so this guy armbars me or key locks me, hurt my shoulder. I start going to the gym with my friend Rich and my friend Mike.
A jiu-jitsu gym?
No, the Marine Corps base gym.
Oh.
And like we do like some armbar drills. And he told me to wait to go to jiu-jitsu till after I got back from my deployment. So I went on a deployment, I grappled some people, and I trained with like a blue belt out while, you know, spare time in Iraq. And so I started officially training under a black belt when I got back from Iraq in September, like 2007.
And where was that?
North Carolina.
Oh, same place.
Yeah. And his name was Jerry Moreno. He runs Moreno BJJ. Havelock, or Newbern, North Carolina.
Long lost brother of Panda Moreno.
Yeah. So got my blue belt in like February of 2008, and then trained till like the summer. And I hated my job so much. It was like a pit of negativity, and everybody was just like super negative, and I was just as negative. I was just as guilty.
It was a Marine job or a different one?
Yeah. Marine Corps, you know, ground support equipment, and you know, air wing, and you know, just working on a flight line, working on the carts that you know, the luggage carts, and the, you know, like the do all the, you know, and all the other machines,
maintenance.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, in a very negative environment and with no enthusiasm. And jiu-jitsu was like saving me there. I was like really, really depressed. I was really upset, and I was like drinking before I went to Iraq, like pretty heavily. And like I kind of, you know, I stopped, and then, you know, I started doing jiu-jitsu, and like it kept, like I got back, and like what happened is I got back and I got really, really drunk, and I fell off my skateboard and knocked out my front teeth. And like I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't feel good. You know, I don't feel good. I like skidded across the pavement and it filed them.
Wow.
And it filed down. Yeah, fucking. I was like drunk and crying. I was like, fuck! I can't believe it just ruined my face.
Your life is over, man.
They can't even tell anymore. Like, you know,
can only have improved.
Thank goodness for structural medicine. Yeah. So otherwise, I'd be very toothless.
And even that wouldn't be that bad, man. I think you'd be fine.
If I could feel fine.
You could drink this tea.
If you can look at your toothless, if you can look at your toothless face and feel fine, you will be fine.
Yeah, it would take a while.
But like, that's the problem, is like feeling fine about having a toothless face when everybody's like, "What's up, you toothless fuck?"
See, I don't hang out with people who talk like that. Do you?
Well, you kind of have to.
The Marines, of course.
Like when you wake up in it, and like, why did I put myself in here?
Yeah.
So like the summer before I went to boot camp, I went to Alaska.
Cool.
And I worked in Denali National Park for the summer. And,
really?
Like the, you know, I just sat there and smoked a bunch of weed and like went hiking, like got drunk, and so I did, and then worked in the kitchen, just had fun, looked at moose and bears and shit, and mountains. It's pretty cool. Then like the next summer, I'm doing push-ups in the sand.
Yeah,
in, like San Diego, and they're like making me like not let me like they'll like put sunblock all over you and go roll you in the sand.
Really?
Yeah, and just like just stupid shit. And so like, why am I doing this? It's too late now, right? And so now you're around a bunch of like those kind of people, and now you're in it. Yeah. And once you're in it, and you're like, oh, you know. So now I'm just gonna do the thing I started, and so I did. And but like, you know, it was like hurting me. Like it was hard to be positive there, and a lot of people, and it hurts a lot of people, like energetically, and they get alcoholic. There's a high rate of suicide in the military. There's a high rate of depression, and it's just like it doesn't feel good to do that kind of shit. It doesn't feel good to like exist in a culture of dominance where everybody's just punking you all the time, every chance they get, because they're getting punked, and they're just like this cycle of like victim abuser kind of thing, and they're just passing it down.
Yeah,
and it's just like everybody is like an abused like middle brother. You know, it's just like, fuck, everybody's beating their ass. Yeah. There's even a phrase like getting fucked by the green weenie. You know, the big green weenie comes for us all, and you all get fucked. Right? Because that's just the way the Marine Corps is. And that's why I didn't get to go to Japan. And that's why I didn't get to go to California. Yeah. That's why I didn't get to work on helicopters, because of the green fucking weenie. And it's just like there's a bunch of people that didn't want to go to Japan that went to Japan. And didn't want to go to California, and they got sent to California. And it's just like this giant organization that like breed like discontent.
Yeah.
And just like people are just so pissed, they're just ready to psychopathically kill everyone. And they do. They really
it works.
They have the best.
It's pretty effective.
I'm pretty sure they have the best kill to death ratio in any military organization in all of history.
Wow.
United States Marine Corps.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Besides maybe the Air Force now.
Okay.
Yeah, if you count bombs and like not actual engagements.
Dude, the closest I got to being in the military is I went to the Air Force office and just like talked to them. But they have you fill out a paper, and they said, when's the last time you used drugs, including marijuana, including a bunch of things, and I wrote this morning. And they're looking at that like, are you sure about this, man? I'm like, nah, I'm just asking questions, dude. I don't know shit.
Yeah. So like, I went to Nepal because I was so negative in that workspace, and I was like, I don't want my whole experience of this like organization and this block of my life to be this. And so like I need to at least get up and try to do something different. And I had heard about the embassy guard program.
What's that?
Like, so there's embassy security guards in the front of all the embassies across the world, right? And they're Marine security guards.
Yeah.
Right. So like I heard about that while I was in Iraq from a guy that had did it or done it, and so I was like, he's like, you should try it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy job, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like way better. You get paid more. You get to travel all over the world, and like you get your own room instead of like having to share a room.
Yeah.
You know,
sounds way better.
So I did it, and I went to Nepal as my first duty station.
Wow. So you didn't choose it? You got placed there?
No, I actually did. I did request it, and what my logic was is that I'd always wanted to see, like the mountains.
Yeah.
And like I grew up in a place of mountains. I went to Alaska and Montana and Washington, and like I wanted to see the Himalayas. Yeah. So like I was like, it's a third world country, so maybe I can get my third world one out of the way, and not go to Africa.
Definitely sounds safer than Africa.
Yeah, because you get sick there just randomly, like a lot of people just get randomly sick. But I didn't really know I was going to get randomly sick plenty in Nepal.
Is it mosquitoes? Is that what it is?
No, pollution.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. It's like over polluted because, it has no emissions. Like everything's just blowing terrible smoke. And they're all burning tires because like it's the poorest country outside of Africa. And yeah. And most of them are doing sustenance living. They've been sustenance living off, only being able to, afford what they can make on their little small plots of like mountain land.
Yeah.
For multiple generations, and they're so impoverished that like there's a bad problem. And what the ambassador was doing while I was there was their primary focus was on like stopping the human trafficking epidemic, of selling their daughters to Indian brothel sex traders.
Oh.
And it's just like the Tarp City brothels are like the most like tragic and like disgusting place on the planet, man.
Yeah.
Like in India, and it's like and they're coming from rural Nepal a lot, and other like source destination countries to other like Middle Eastern countries like UAE and Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, and it's like they have a bunch of money and no morals. no real morals, in my opinion.
Is this something you like kept up on, or is this something you just learned about then?
Well,
10 years later,
I was doing college classes. Yeah. The whole time, because you get a tuition assistance program back then, at least.
You're going to college in Nepal?
Yeah, I was taking online classes. Oh. So like I was doing an international relations degree, because what my idea had switched to was like I was gonna thinking about like working for the Department of State when I got done. And if I could finish a degree, I could like get right out of the Marine Corps and go right into the Department of State.
Yeah.
And so my next duty station after that was Austria, which I also requested because I saw the scene at the end of Band of Brothers and it was just beautiful. Right? And they went up to this like place called the Eagle's Nest.
Cool.
And it was like so cool. It was like one of Hitler's birthday presents.
Yeah.
And he like never really went there, but it was like his like mountain house. He had dinner there like twice, and like it was one of the few things that they didn't demolish after World War II. Is like they had this whole deconstruction program where they just took down everything that was like had anything to do with the Nazi Party, except for like a couple memorials. And things that had like a multi-purpose. So like the Eagle's Nest didn't need to get destroyed because it became a tourist spot. So it had like this secondary purpose. And it's just like there's a lot of stuff though that it had to go do. Just go through it like a long time and like scrub the stain of that evil, out of the landscape. It was gnarly, dude. My girlfriend's grandpa was a Nazi.
Hey man, my I don't know how far back great grandfather had slaves. So
the trauma runs deep and long.
It's in there, man. That's why I tried so hard. I had black roommates just to just try to learn.
And just even it out a little bit.
Even it out a little bit.
Word.
But the reason I keep asking you about Nepal, man, is I've been thinking a lot about it lately. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know, but I had a pretty elaborate plan to go to India to go teach jiu-jitsu all over. Like, I was in contact with, like, several gyms, but the visa didn't come through. So in fucking 4 days, I'm flying to Taiwan. A flight that I originally thought was going to be, like, stay there a week, go into India. But now I'm just going to stay in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And close to there is Nepal. Yeah. And so I've been in contact with the gym in Nepal, and they're saying... July is a nice time to be there. So that's what I'm thinking.
It's a rainy season.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so like there's like good time, like there's a monsoon. It's in the monsoon season. So like
I've been misled.
Well, it's a good time to like maybe go there and teach martial arts, but it's not a good time to go to the Botokosi River or the mountains or
I do kind of want to meditate in some caves.
Yeah, and the caves are not going to be exposed to the rain because you're going to be in a cave, right? So it might not matter if you go in July or not, but the mountaintops will be covered in gray.
You want to go back to Nepal? Interested?
I mean, I never got to walk around Nepal like I really wanted to. I went out to the last resort. It's this bungee jumping place off of a suspension bridge they built for the indigenous people that lived across this big ass canyon. Wow. And so for them to get their product like across, they had to walk like something like 10 or 15 miles by foot across a bridge and then back across. So you're like doing like this crazy trek of only with what they could carry. So like. People got money together and built them a suspension bridge. Wow. And it's just like the way it is, and it's the way it's always been. They're just like stuck over there, and this is where they live, and that's where they have space to live and have their family.
It's the place they woke up.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, this is how it is. And they've been there for like a lot of generations,
Yeah.
And like...
It's an old place.
Yeah, so like... They built them a suspension bridge, and now they have a resort over there, and it gave them all like this little pocket of people a big economy, and it just happens to be over this big chasm that you can bungee jump and canyon swing. So it's the third highest bungee jump in the world, and the highest canyon swing.
I'm terrified of bungee jumping.
It feels just like committing suicide.
Dude, you should definitely do their marketing.
Like before you go to the Golden Gate Bridge and take your plunge, just go fucking bungee jump, dude. Like, at least once, right? Yeah, so like, yeah, don't jump off any bridges unless you're attached to the bungee.
Appreciate that advice, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. You want to hear my proposed, like, if I was ever going to suicide plan?
I'm nervous.
Well, what it is, it's not actually that scary, because all I'm going to do is just go for a long walk out in the woods.
Really?
Yeah. So if I ever feel really, really down, like I just can't do this anymore, I'm not going to take a fucking gun with me. I'm going to starve to death like a fucking gangster. Right? Because like, if you just go out there and just sit there. If you really want to fucking kill yourself, go out in the woods and just fucking sit there. You know, and see how long you can sit there.
I really want to give you this cup of tea now.
And like go for a walk. And like the longer you walk, right, the harder it's going to be to get back. And eventually, if you walk far enough, you're like, oh shit, I'm actually dying. I've
had this experience on acid and Joshua Tree.
You know,
being like, well, I've been alone for 3 minutes, so I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to die out in the desert.
Yeah.
You know, so like you'll actually do that, and like the work that you would have to do to get back is going to make you have a super deep appreciation for life. Right? Because like, I mean, like you do interview, like people have done interviews with the people that have jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived.
Right.
And it's always, I shouldn't have done this. Right? But then bam, I shouldn't have done that. Fuck. Right? And so like a lot of people that commit suicide, like their last thought was, oops, I shouldn't have done that. Right? And so it's like, just go for a long walk. But no water, no food. It's a vision quest. Like you can actually pay people to go on vision quests in the southwest United States. Like they'll like support you, and you can just go sit out in a teepee somewhere for 4 days with no food and water.
You've done this?
No.
You want it?
I've thought about it, but like, you know, because like I think about things that I hear. You know, like anything that I hear, I'm like, oh, that's a thing. Yeah, I'm going to think about doing that, and then I'm going to decide not to do it or do it. You know, and at this point, I haven't done it.
Now you're telling me you're scared of Vipassana. 10 days of meditating.
Yeah.
Actually, when I mentioned it to you, you cried. Why was that?
Because I still have like essentially like a phobia of just like being still and silent.
It's terrifying, man.
Yeah. And,
it terrifies me, and I've done it many times.
Yeah, of course. It's just like, just to be still and silent for a long time and not to express any internal wiggle. And, you know, is deeply challenging for most people.
It's deeply challenging for every single human.
Yeah, and it's like...
Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something.
I have this deep feeling that I should go do it. Yeah. It might, you know, it's something I should probably quit avoiding. Because I actually signed up for it, and then I like canceled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, and it's just like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go, no.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I just didn't see myself being able to like... feel like I could energetically just go for 10 days just to do that with like the, you know, like the environment that was existing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, last summer, you know, the summer or whatever, I was thinking about doing it.
Yeah, last time I did it was a year ago. I'm itchy for it.
I only heard about it a year ago, you know,
okay.
or a year or two ago.
It took me 2 years to sign up.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like, you know, like I've thought a lot about like a definition of health, right? What is healthy? Right.
That's such a question.
Right. And what is your definition of health? And
it's
like,
changed so many times.
you know, for people listening, what is your definition of what healthy is?
Yeah.
And like, how good are you at like, you know, testing that? And so like one of my definitions of health is, can you just lay down and go to sleep? Can you just go into a normal room, normal dark room, nothing, no shit in it, just go to sleep? and like most of the time my answer is no. You know, and
I've struggled a lot with that.
That's a sign of like some sort of like discontent with yourself and like with like the existence and the way that you're interacting with your environment. Because I think that a truly healthy person should just be able to close their eyes and just easily go to sleep and just wake up feeling well rested. But that's so elusive for just about everybody. You know that. You know, it's like there's endemic problems through our whole society. This is like permeating through everybody, and they bubble up in mass shootings and like the cultural demographics of anxiety and depression and alcoholism and drug abuse. I've
had a lot of 10th Planet guys tell me recently they can only sleep 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, man, it's like you know,
not healthy at all.
It's like also overtraining.
Yeah,
you know, like
a lot of guys overtrain.
Yeah, you know, when you're overtrained, because what I noticed that I did, and one of the reasons that I got, you know, like I did jiu-jitsu the way that I did it is because I was trying to, you know, or I've been doing it, is just like it's a energetic purge. You feel like you pop when you're done. You know, when you're all like rolled out and you're just like, right? And it feels good. And so if you're working your way through like some like deep-seated anger, and you can't even tell why you're angry. That's how I felt most of like my teenage life and then my 20s.
Vaguely angry.
I was just vaguely angry all the time. And that's how like people met me when I showed up to Costa Mesa. And I've like departed that vague, angry kind of feeling in myself mostly. You know, and there's still like remnants of like that energetic scar.
Of course.
You know, where it changes your posture because you're resonating anger. It changes the consistency of your, you know, your soft muscle tissue and your organ meat. And you know, and like what's like what hormones are diffusing through your stomach based off of how angry you are and how consistently angry you are and how you're interpreting like the stimuluses that are happening all the time, including in jiu-jitsu. So like, you know, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about like self-regulation. Is like, you know, if you can't pay attention to your adrenaline, you can't pay attention to your cortisol level and like how stressed out you are, you can't manage your breath correctly, right? Which means you're not going to be able to apply technique correctly. Because Rickson Gracie's always talking about it. We've all seen, you know, him doing his breath work, and nobody's doing it. How many times have you done that Rickson Gracie breath work? Never.
Me?
Well, not you, but like the people that are listening.
I've done it a lot.
Yeah, I know you do it. I do it. You know, like I strive for it.
Anybody who doesn't know what he's talking about, it's in the movie Choke. Yeah. Rickson Gracie, choke breathing. Educate yourself. It's very similar to Wim Hof is the most famous breath guy now.
Yeah.
Similar concepts.
Kundalini yogas and all sorts of breath, you know, different breath work.
It's a 10,000-year-old thing, man. It's real shit.
Yeah, just, you know.
Real shit.
It's the way that you sequence your existence and self-regulate. You know, that's what it's doing with your carbon dioxide. You know, and how you actually like regulate acidity in your body. The consistency of your body, right? It's like, how do you actually regulate that? Well, your carbon dioxide, you know, exchange and you know, gas exchange in your lungs. Right, and like there's different ways to explain it using like the Chinese methodology, which is like actually like helps, I think, like build like a picture in your head where it gives you a usable tool versus like the
what's the Chinese way?
Like ascending chi, descending chi.
What's chi?
Life force that does movement. Right, so Chinese medicine has 5 base substances. One is chi, which will do movement and like energy, like how you're like interacting with your environment. So when you're slumping and sad, you have like a descending chi problem and like your posture always falls over, right? Most of the guys at jiu-jitsu, when they're sitting in a circle, have like a big hunchback.
Yeah, that was me most of my life.
Yeah, of course, me too, because we're all like deeply sad and we can't tell why. And it's like
vaguely sad,
it's like vaguely sad, and it's like from this deep sad like layer, probably because somebody cut the tip of your dick off. Didn't ask.
That was actually my biggest wish when I was born. I was like, this dick has got to change.
Like,
I don't know what you guys do.
Like culturally, it's not good. It's like weird to not have the tip of your dick cut off.
Only in America, though.
Yeah.
This generation
like,
of Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
everyone I know has the tip of their dick cut off.
You don't have the tip of your dick cut off? You're weird. That's gross.
I'm jealous, actually.
Yeah.
Because I've researched it, man. I've been banging this dick around in my pants all of my life, and it's decreased sensitivity.
Yes, now the whole world knows I'm not circumcised. I'm just a natural fucking human.
Dude.
What's wrong with you, you little mutilated humans?
It's not my fault, man. It's original sin. I was born into it.
I counter your concept of original sin with original love.
Oh, shit.
That you do not need to dunk your infants in water.
You don't need to dunk lost them. Your fucking mind, Andrew Ramm, and I think this love shit is counterproductive.
I think that anybody that can look at a little tiny baby and think, damn, this little sinful thing, I need to clean this little bitch off. Like, I need to dunk him right in some water.
Well, to be fair, it is covered in blood, so you should kind of like wash it off.
Not really. You're supposed to actually leave that shit on there.
Really?
Yeah, for a while.
I don't know anything about this.
I mean, you can like a little bit, so you don't get it all over your hands. But
yeah.
You just put it in like a towel, but you're actually supposed to leave it on and like let it dry up because it has all like the bacteria to like insulate it and like help it like adapt into the environment. Because, and really, like just in case you didn't remember, the first thing that you probably did when you came into this world was do what?
Sing a song.
Fucking cry.
Oh.
Right? You're pissed, right? You left the womb.
Yeah,
it was perfect, man. Like you got to eat as much as you wanted. like you're always warm, you're always comfortable, right? And all of a sudden you're cold, right? And like there's man hands touching you, like your dad's touching you. You're like, fuck, don't touch me, dude.
Come on, man, you have anxiety.
I'm trying to hang out with my mom. And like, now you're dunking me in water. What are you doing? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Cutting my dick off and dunking me in water. Why wasn't I good enough just the way that I was? You know, so like when we have like these original practices that we do with our, like almost like every infant in our society. Why do you think we're like upset? Like societally, where everybody's taking like anxiety medications or getting drunk and like escaping, where they can't go to sleep.
You ever been a pill popper? You ever go through that?
Yeah.
Really?
Not like bad, but like.
What was the pill?
Just like stuff that I would get prescribed. You know, I enjoy taking them.
For what?
Tooth pain. Getting like knocking my front teeth out. You know.
Is it be Vicodin or
yeah, Vicodins and you know upper levels of it. I'm taking oxys and stuff, and I liked them.
Yeah,
I was like, this feels great.
Dude,
yeah.
I feel so lucky that I don't like it.
Yeah,
like first time I took it, I threw up. Like second time was bored.
But like why it feels great is our inability to like self-regulate.
Yeah,
and so when you're having like drug and substance abuse issues, it's an inability to self-regulate.
Yeah. And
like just because like I've been on this metaphor recently about an idiot in a library, right? If you send your dumbest friend. Right, into a library to get all the information to come back and like build us a town or build us a reality or something, right? Where we actually feel good and we have enthusiasm to be here, and we have like this bubbly. So yes, I'm here, and I'm not pissed off, and I'm not defining my life as a slog and an obligation and like just a drag. You know, because that's how I felt. I was dragging myself through my life, through a lot of my life, and I felt energetically very heavy because I was depressed, and I couldn't tell why. You know, I could not tell why I was depressed, and like depressed isn't like always like there's multiple uses of a word, and it becomes culturally like adopted. You know, as a common usage, like depression, you don't actually have to be like depressed about something to be depressed, right? It's like this like energetic, like physiological depressed state, like where you're kind of just lower and it's harder to come up.
Dude, a year ago that was me.
Right, and what like the Chinese model, right? So they would say like it's hard to quantify that. They say descending chi, like your energy is depressed. You're like right,
literally depressed.
And it's like if you watch my fights, I'm heavy on my feet every time I'm standing. Like I grapple brilliantly. But like I'm heavy on my feet, I'm uncoordinated, I'm kind of clunky, I'm off balance a lot, I'm doing turning techniques a lot. And not because like I think it's necessarily the best strategy, but because it's a compensation pattern for my awkwardness that I felt my whole life, because I have a really uneven leg. I have like probably like three quarters, my right leg is probably 3/4 of an inch long.
I think on that beautiful note, man, I think we should play some music.
I gotta pee.
You wanna go pee? Let's pause and we'll play. This party's too crazy for you. It's okay.
Find the seal. Like puff up your cheeks. Yeah, kind of like fart into it a little bit. This is like a giant fart. So, what if your butthole was really long like that? Like every time you had to take a shit, yeah, like your butthole had to like go look. Like getting a boner. Right. You had a really long butthole. That made that noise. Nice fart feed, bro. Like make it a little bit less like less farty and a little bit more like beatboxy. And then just draw it out. There you go. Good job,
This is so ridiculous.
I agree. Man, we went from this like super intellectual conversation, I thought, to Marshall making fart noises in his fart can.
Yeah, super intellectual, bro. This is a super serious podcast. I should have told you earlier. It's called Tales of Macaque for a reason, and that reason is because
I never knew.
Super serious.
I never knew it was macaque.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I thought it was like Macau or something.
I thought like you're a big fan of mine, and I'm really offended.
Yeah.
You don't follow me on Twitter?
Nothing. Well, like when social media gets really social for me, I get like anxious kind of.
Yeah, me too, man.
Is that on?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so like if I'm getting too much like personal information from people, like I'm just kind of I don't want to know that much, like like all the time, I have a phone addiction, right? And most of us do, where there's like some level of like dopamine. So it's
hard not to.
If you've ever like gotten your phone, like used your phone to like get a hold of a girl, where like, right?
Yeah, I used to live in Taiwan, and I tell girls I don't have a phone, and they'd be like, all right, well, I'll never see you, bye.
Like, how do you get a hold of you? Like,
yeah. Oh, we can't track every movement? It's not gonna work.
Yeah. Don't keep the GPS tracker device in your pocket all the time. Like,
there's nobody to know what I'm eating, man.
So